What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Today we are installing the 1M replica bumpers in the front and rear of this stock body 135. It's going to be a good one. This is a crazy sight to see. So we have the stock body 1M replica by Souvenir that's painted in our paint code, which is jet black. This is the first one right up here, and you'll see that it has the washer nozzle cutouts, which I actually ended up deleting the washer nozzles on this car. I don't use them. Following that, we have the OEM 1M front bumper. They don't really look too much different. I will say that obviously the quality of the material is much better, in my opinion, on the actual OEM 1M bumper. It just feels a little bit more sturdy than the aftermarket stuff, which is to be expected. But in terms of shape and everything, I mean, it looks very, very similar. Now, being that this is designed for the stock body, it's obviously going to meet up with the stock fenders. This one is designed for the actual 1M body, and it's going to meet up with the 1M fenders. Now, I have all of the OEM 1M parts for this conversion in my other garage. However, if you guys saw in the last video, we're basically going to set this car up as a stock body replica 1M to kind of give you guys an idea of what you can do and some of the parts that you can order. I'm going to show you how to install the stuff and then, of course, show you how it fits. And once my rear flares come in, we're going to start the process of converting this car over to an actual 1M with the wide body and all the good stuff. So this is the front one. I just had it painted by my guys here in Charlotte at Carsmetics. They do all my paint work. And then this is the rear one. So the rear one, there's a pretty massive difference where the bumper meets up with the rear quarters. So you can just see this is super, super wide right there on the angle, very defined. And this is a little bit more smoothed out and just thinner to meet up with the stock body stuff. So again, this is OEM 1M. This is replica 1M. Okay, so we have our work cut out for us. I'm gonna go ahead and get the car up in the air on jack stands, start pulling this stuff apart. I'm gonna lead you guys through the process, show you how everything fits. Let's get into it. All right, rear is up on jack stands. So what we'll do is start with all of the undercarriage 8mm. There's a bunch of them going around here. Pop those out. The diffuser is just held in by clips once you get the two 8mm on the corners out. There might be a couple over here. It looks like there's a couple under here. And then we got some 8mm inside of here. 10mm right here. Probably have to take that off. Not quite sure. Probably gonna pull out the tail light. All right, so all of that is easy to get off. Dude, also, check this out. Is this an OEM carbon diffuser? I had no idea that this was, I believe that's what this is, right? Pretty sweet, I had no idea. All right, so before we start jumping into the tail light disassembly, I undid all of the little bolts back here in the fender well. Looks like there is one little 8mm hiding out right there. Pop that out. I don't feel any more back here though. So that should be all of them. And then the rest of the bolts, I believe, are either under here or back here. So what I'll probably do is just take this out too, and then some of the fabric back here so I can get access to the tail lights, and then we should be good. All right, so as I suspected, you will need to remove the tail lights, or at least get them out of the way a little bit, because you have these clips up here that actually hold the top of the rear bumper in. But after I release these clips along here, this thing should be able to just freely come out. So yeah, you guys, once you get to this point, you just have these clips up top. These guys will fight you a little bit. It seems like the bumper just wanted to come out and over. That seemed to be the best way to pull it out. Doesn't look like anything came out with the old bumper, so we don't need to worry about any stuff with that to transfer over. I think it's just as simple as just throwing on the new one at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and put this one up to it, get things lined up. Hopefully this goes to plan. And of course we have the stock diffuser over here for the new 1M rep bumper. However, it will look a little goofy because we are only running the single-sided exhaust. Once we go full wide 1M, I am doing the official 1M exhaust system. It'll be an aftermarket version, but it will be the quad exhaust system. So this will be the only like kind of strange thing for now, but hey, it is what it is. All right, so I want to show you guys before I lock everything in here. Looks like everything is going to line up very well. We're just going to push these in. They're going to clip in. Same deal with the sides. You can see all of this lines up. We'll see how those corners line up with the quarter panels when we're done. But so far, this is good fitment. Good fitment for an aftermarket bumper. So let me go ahead and push all the tabs in, and then we'll take a look and see how it looks. Dude, this looks crazy. It's so much more aggressive. So much more aggressive. Looks really freaking cool. Lines up super good too. Super flush, really, really clean. I mean, for aftermarket, you really can't ask for a better fitment. All the way around, everything locked in, just like OEM. Damn, dude. Great job on the paintwork too. The paint looks awesome. That's it, man. That is really simple. So, boy's gonna be running the... This is gonna look so haggard. It looks so rough with the one-sided exhaust, which is just freaking hilarious. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put everything back together. So basically just reverse order everything, and then we can turn the car around and start working on the front end. All right, so it's been about an hour. I've got good news and I've got bad news, but we're learning. So if you are thinking about doing a 1M style, even replica bumper on the rear of a 135, a couple of things that I want to show you that you might want to take into consideration before doing. All right, so my exhaust system currently on the car is not stock, so I can't say for certain that you guys will run into this issue as well, but you likely will, because this bumper is set up obviously for a 1M. Now, even though that it's a replica and that it's supposed to fit on the stock body, the exhaust placements are actually 1M placements. So if your intentions are to run this with a stock 135 exhaust system, you may want to consider otherwise. So when I was trying to fit this diffuser onto my 1M bumper, the tips were sitting right about here. So I knew right away, okay, that's a problem. We got to remove the tips. The other issue that you're likely going to run into is the under panels are not going to line up with where these factory bolt pieces are. Typically, there's a shrouding like this. That shrouding will come off of the stock bumper and sit like this. However, now that you're running the 1M, your bolt placements are in different places. So this piece right here is discarded. You're no longer gonna be able to run this. Same deal with this guy over here. Now, obviously on the 1M, there's a tip coming out here, so this wouldn't be here. However, you do have some evap components over here and obviously the battery tray, and these are two things that change when you do the 1M exhaust conversion. So obviously with my 1M conversion, I am going to do the 1M exhaust conversion. However, I thought that I would be doing that at a later date. Well, now that we already have the replica bumper on and we're seeing that I'm going to be faced with those issues anyways, I feel like I should probably just start jumping into converting this entire system over to the 1M exhaust. So that's probably what's going to happen next, because this setup in the back is just super whack. Like, nothing fits. This looks ridiculous. It's gonna look so bad, but I'm pretty confident I can get all of my 1M stuff in pretty quickly. So I'll only need to rock it like this for a week or two max. The other thing that I want to point out is if you guys are going to run this bumper, I highly suggest putting this diffuser on to the bumper with the bumper off of the car. This one in particular was a super tight fitment and is very difficult to get all of the little mounting tabs on while this is on the car. The bumper is already being stretched to form to the car, so you end up trying to form the diffuser to the bumper, which would just be a lot easier when everything was off and a bit more malleable. Other than that, everything bolts up really well. Those would be my only two recommendations. This is gonna look super dumb in the back for a little bit, but it is what it is. I literally am just leaving the exhaust tip hips up. Overall, the fitment is really good. Like everything fits really, really, really nice and tight. The only thing that I noticed that will surely bother some people is if you look inside of where the actual vent is, you can see the white plastic pieces that hold the bumper to the actual car. It's not super visible, but it is something, if I were to keep the car like this, I would solve it. I would find a resolution for it. Whether you put mesh back here or whether you just paint these, like while you have the bumper off, just give them a spray and make them black inside of there just so you don't see them. That would be my only recommendation, honestly. Other than that, I think it looks really freaking good. If you didn't want to do all of the OEM panels underneath, you could just have like a custom exhaust fabricated to make that work with everything, but it's still gonna be kind of janky. And this build in particular is just gonna be on another level, and we're not skipping phases. So we're gonna be doing all of the OEM stuff. I didn't think we would have to do it so soon, but hey, if that's what we have to do, then that's what we have to do. The rear end is officially complete though. For now at least, we can go ahead and throw the wheels on, and then I'm actually gonna turn the car around. We're gonna jack up the front and let's start working on that front bumper. All right, car's up. Guess we can go ahead and start with our Torx up top here. A rubber liner piece can come out. These are going to be T30s for anyone wondering. All right, let's go ahead and knock out all of the 8 mils. Only gonna be a couple of them. Last bolt is gonna be right there, and that's the one that actually holds on the bumper. Other than that, I should be able to pull it off. If you guys still have your headlight washers in there, just remember to unplug those. I basically deleted that from the car because those are stupid and I don't want them on my car. Okay, so the first thing we gotta do is probably go ahead and put in our grills. We also have the air ducts that are for the 1M bumper. However, I don't know if they match up to this. I guess we'll find out. I also have my oil cooler over here, which I can imagine is probably going to create some issues with routing and whatnot because you have these fat oil lines now in the way. So I don't know if we'll be able to run these. Not really the end of the world, considering we are gonna do the original 1M conversion eventually, but I will try. I will try. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the grill in. I'm gonna swap over the kidney grills while everything is out. Okay, we're nowhere near finished, but I wanted to step in and show you guys a couple of things. The ducting. So the ducting is different on the 1M versus the 135. This ducting won't even fit into this car right now with the way that I have things routed. The rear fender liners don't match up because they're not the 1M fender liners. Lots of little stuff here and there. Same thing with this side. You're not going to be able to get that to line up because the fender liners are different. And then also on this side, you have your horns over here. That is something when you go to the 1M kit, you have to relocate the horns. A couple of ways to do it. You can buy the OEM brackets or you can make some yourself. I am going the OEM route. So if you were to run this like forever, I would probably just get some like similar mesh and throw it in right here. Or I would try and cut those and make them work. But that's what I would do. I would just get some similar mesh, literally just lay it back here behind here. So when we look on the underside, it's a little bit different story because again, these are 135 panels trying to meet up with a 1M bumper. As you can see, typically you have this piece that goes on right here. And these holes would line up with your factory 135 bumper. Obviously, that's not gonna work anymore now that we have the 1M. So in the other garage, I actually have all the 1M parts. We're not gonna put them on now because there's really no point. Again, when I go to the full 1M conversion, it's gonna be all 1M parts underneath here. Nonetheless, this piece would then need to meet with this piece. I mean, you could probably concoct something to make it work. You could probably smoke holes in this, or you could even just put this up and smoke holes in the bumper. However you wanted to do it, if you didn't want to have to buy all the 1M shit. There's definitely like cheaper alternatives if you just could get crafty with it. The other thing is my intercooler is pretty massive. Needs to bend down a little bit to go around it like that. Not too big of a deal, but it is something there. If you are running an aftermarket intercooler that hangs a little bit lower, you might have to get crafty. You might have to do some cutting. I don't think it's a big deal on our end though. It doesn't seem to be pushing the bumper out at all. Other than those two things, it's pretty self-explanatory. Like it all bolts right up. One thing with my car in particular, these fenders are quite demolished. They are pulled pretty aggressively, and so you can see some pinching right here. But these fenders are pretty trashed, and you can see how oddly shaped they are right there. They just have a goofy bulge. They look kind of weird. They don't meet up to the factory bumper. They don't meet up to this bumper. Is what it is. It doesn't really matter, again, because I have all new fenders and we're changing all that. But if you just had like a normal 135 and your fenders weren't pulled, I mean, this really would be a fantastic option. And I think that there's a lot of ways that you could get around from having to buy all of the 1M stuff. If you just wanted to put this on and like send it, like I said, you would just have to get a little crafty, but there's certainly ways that you can run it without having to spend a whole bunch of 1M money to make it work. I'm going to go ahead and finish just buttoning up what we have for temporary purposes. But all in all, that is going to include the install. It's really not that difficult. Definitely going to be a lot easier with an extra hand. Get creative and you'll be good. Man, does that change the front of this car pretty drastically. Looks really good. So if you wanted to build the affordable fake 1M on a stock body, man, I would say this would be the way to do it. And you guys would probably have even better luck than I did because of the condition of my fenders. And I think most people would actually end up in a better position than this. But even on a stock body, man, this looks really freaking good. You still get all of the cool curves of the 1M. Obviously, you don't get the width of it, but you still get the cool body lines, which is a pretty important part of it. I think if you're going to do it, you definitely need to take care of the vents down there. Do some sort of grill solution over there to make that work. But there's really not too many things that you need to adjust in order to run this front bumper and make it look good. It's pretty easy to make it look good. The back is sort of a different story because as soon as you go to that quad setup, you have to run some sort of quad exhaust or some sort of custom exhaust setup. You can put a big ass Tomei coming out of there if you wanted to. It definitely looks very strange and odd. I personally would never leave it like this. I would like to have like the OEM 1M setup. But I think that anyone who is looking to do this without spending too much coin on OEM parts, this is a fantastic way to do it. Everything fits super good. The only thing is you'll just have to buy those supporting 1M parts if you really want to have the complete undercarriage and everything actually properly fit. But hey, we did a pretty good job. We did a pretty good job. This thing didn't even have a motor in it a few weeks ago. And now, honestly, if I were to keep the car like this, I mean, I would just rock it like this. Like, it looks perfectly fine. You could make it super quick. It's sort of a sleeper. All right, so I gotta thank Souvenir for sending out the bumpers for this car, all of the carbon parts. We didn't install any of the carbon parts because honestly, I'm gonna keep those for when we do the actual 1M conversion. Don't really feel like running those on this setup. Then once we go over to the real OEM 1M conversion, we're gonna have fresh new carbon, fresh new bumpers. But I'm gonna have all of this stuff linked down below. It took me about 4 hours with filming to do the front and the rear bumpers. Really not that bad. Like, you guys could probably knock it out in 2.5, 3 hours. I'd say like 90% of it, 95% of it is gonna bolt right up. And it's really up to you whether you want to add those little things to just make it that much better. But as soon as you get into the project, you kind of have an idea of what you'll need to do to accomplish this. So huge shout out to Souvenir for sending this stuff out. I think this is a fantastic setup. If you're not looking to spend too much coin to go over to the full 1M OEM conversion, you can just do the replica on the stock body and it looks plenty good. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.